Dave Akerly is live from D.C. This is the 1320 WILS Morning Wake-Up on more compelling talk radio. 1320 WILS.
We are indeed on Capitol Hill, where the Federation for American Immigration Reform, they do this every year. The first time we've been here, we've met a lot of people, got a lot of different viewpoints on this. By the way, not everyone in lockstep, because it's not monolithic, okay? And we have found out on the other side of the issue, too. You know, we've got a lot of voices on this show that we try to bring in so that you can make up your mind and make a good decision, not telling you what to think, but maybe helping shaping the opinion out there. One of those who does it with the Immigration Reform Law Institute is Dale Wilcox. He's the Executive Director, General Counsel, and he's with me now. Good morning, Dale.
Good morning.
Well, in the capital of Michigan, we had quite a debate over becoming a sanctuary city. This was also on the docket in Detroit, Ann Arbor, even Traverse City in northern Michigan. Lansing opted out, although in name only. It still it kind of does sanctuary city, but doesn't do it quote unquote officially. Mm-hmm. And so maybe you try to have it so you're not running afoul of the feds all the time. And we're a port city too, mm-hmm. with Border Patrol and all that, because of flights coming in from Canada and at one point Ireland and et cetera. So we've got that in the background. But sanctuary communities is something that you deal with all the time.
We do. We've been looking at them really closely lately, seeing who are the worst offenders nationally. And what we've done is put together a top 10 list, probably better titled bottom 10 list of those who do not cooperate with federal immigration authorities. And as you know, sanctuary policies are dangerous. I mean, people are literally dying. We've seen that nationally, and being injured. The innocent suffer because of these policies.
Well, in a place like, in our state, Detroit, largest city, the school district there says we're not going to cooperate with raids in the school. That was the most recent headline that came down. But ideally, raids aren't going to take place in a school. You don't want to take stuff off the plate of a group like ICE to do their job. But in a perfect world, that's not their ideal either, is it?
Right. Well, so-called sanctuary policy, there are many definitions, and there are many levels of non-cooperation.
Okay.
And principally what we are looking at ICE sending what's called a detainer request to a local police agency, asking them to hold a criminal alien or someone who's been charged with a crime for 48 hours so that ICE can come and pick them up. So we're talking about criminals. We're not talking about ICE going to schools and raiding schools or churches.
On a fishing expedition, right?
Exactly. These are people who have been
But it gets played that way, though.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Of course, that works for the open anti-borders agenda. But, what happens when anyone is arrested and booked? Their fingerprints go to the FBI. The FBI shares that with Department of Homeland Security. And if they get a hit on an illegal alien who's in the country unlawfully, and they've committed a crime or have about to finish serving a sentence for a crime,
all right,
they will send what's called a detainer request and ask the local jurisdiction, please hold them for 48 hours so that we can get there and pick them up and get them out of the country. Well, what's happening all across the country, as you noted, there are jurisdictions who say, we're not going to cooperate. We're not going to hold them for you, and we're not even going to inform you when we're going to release them so you can be waiting outside the door to pick them up. That's unreasonable. That is putting people's lives unnecessarily in danger.
San Francisco, number one on your list.
Yes.
Here. My hometown of Seattle made the top 5.
Yes.
And they've been fairly robust about that. Chicago in the Midwest, Minneapolis.
Yes.
Here. I mean, now, none of these are places where you would have kind of shared governance or where there's a, you know what I mean by that. I mean, one party, the other party, you've got some kind of equilibrium going on. I mean, in Michigan, again, you're talking about places that maybe because there's a balance. Now, Lansing, no, but other places, it's a Grand Rapids. Heavily, there's a conservative side, a liberal side, and there's a balancing act going on in municipal government. But not in there's a tie that binds in all these cities. cities, too.
Yeah, if you note, number 1, 2, 3, San Francisco 1, New York 2, Minneapolis
Right.
number 3, they're the home cities of Representatives Pelosi, AOC, and Ilhan Omar. There is this disparity. Sadly, the leftists have abandoned any kind of immigration control whatsoever. And not to be cynical, they say, well, we don't want ICE terrorizing communities, and people will be afraid to report crime. Victims and witnesses will be afraid to come forward because they might be deported. Totally untrue. We actually have visas, federal visas in our law that if you're a witness to a crime, a victim of a crime, you can apply to get a green card. So that talking point is bogus. What this is about is political. It's a political game. They are trolling for potential future voters.
What mystified me a couple of months ago, when this obviously the Daily Optics, well, they were the Daily Optics, all right, from the southern border, was that there were people in my area in social media, and some were involved in government, saying, hey, ICE has been spotted near this shopping center. ICE has been spotted near this restaurant. We are, again, a port city. We have a port of Lansing, the capital of Michigan. We have a customs office there. These guys sometimes go and get lunch. It doesn't mean every time you see one of their vehicles doesn't mean they're raiding the local Kroger store.
That's right.
I mean, it just doesn't. But again, when the rhetoric gets ratcheted up, that's where we end. From the legal side,
yes.
Where does this go? We've talked a lot about impeachment today and policy issues, and then maybe things grinding to a halt here in Washington because of the overriding, as they did in 1998. Mm-hmm. Is that a real danger here?
No. Well, see, what we are advocating is enforcing the laws that are already on the books. We're not advocating for policy change. I mean, these laws exist. ICE has this power. And to your point, certainly they are not going around to schools and churches and raiding, and they don't have the resources for that. They don't have the manpower. They are going after they are focusing on criminal aliens right now. So it's not true that they're out there terrorizing the communities. They are actually. What's sad about this? The immigrants inside these communities don't want these criminals. They're the ones who are the victims of this crime.
Right.
So they want them deported. They want them out. But sadly, the politicians, the powers that be, don't.
The danger for them in trying to help is that they're being told then, too, if you do, you will be thrown under the bus yourself.
Yes.
Is that accurate in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely. Yes, there is no diversity of thought. If you, by any means, hint that you are going to cooperate with the feds, your own folks will fall on you hard. And, they will threaten to, picket you, protest you until you are removed from office.
The push to tie funding, that it ran into roadblocks in the court, didn't it?
Oh, it did.
With this, but the issue doesn't go away. Dale Wilcox is the executive director. He's general counsel for the Immigration Reform Law Institute. He's here on Capitol Hill today, Federation for American Immigration Reform Fair, and this event. Dale, I appreciate you coming by very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to be heading to Fox News here after top of the hour. We'll come back on the flip side. We'll be discussing Michigan campaign finance and some new details with Craig Mauger. We'll go to the White House with John Decker, and Steve Tubbleman, former state rep, will join me as well. Immigration, major issue. 1320 Morning Wake Up in D.C., WILS.